Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Chala, part of the EON.HEALTH team. At EON, we combine real-time personalized data, science-backed insights, and AI that learn and evolve with you. We decode your unique data patterns across 6 pillars to deliver highly personalized, actionable suggestions that actually work and evolve with you. What makes today's conversation so exciting is that actually that AI explores the deeper architecture behind this intelligence. Our CTO Abhishek recently introduced a new AI framework that's called Chaos that redefines how intelligent system actually can scale, diversify, and coordinate in more human-like adaptive ways. Please feel free to post your questions into the chat while you're listening. We will be answering your questions simultaneously, and there won't be any Q&A session at the end if you don't willingly wish to. So Abhishek, I think I'll be passing the mic to you right now.
Thanks, Shala, and thanks for the wonderful intro. It's a great day and so great to see so many people here. We'll have lots of participants, so if you have any questions, as Shala said, throw it in the Q&A, and when the talk finishes, we can take them up. And let me confirm that my screen is visible and it's changing. Can you confirm? Okay. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. We are EON.HEALTH, the operating system for health span. And today I'm going to talk to you about this notion of intelligence and how different perspective that we bring on the table on what does it mean to design this intelligence that is going to improve health span and make people live longer, healthier, and so on. We all are hearing this term recently. It's in the vogue, super intelligence. Adding the word super makes it exciting because people now think it can unlock totally new capabilities and so on. And inspired by that, also, I recently gave a talk on what super powerful AI will look like and how actually it's going to be impacting our lives. But the term super actually is a familiar term, especially if you were born before 90s. I was not, but I've read books about it, so I'm still going to talk about it. At one point, supercomputers were also in the vogue, the same way superintelligence is in the vogue today. And people, I mean, researchers and scientists were racing towards this ultimate supercomputer that can calculate everything possible. And the notion was this will bring a lot of prosperity, a lot of innovation, and so on. However, what probably everyone could agree that brought much more innovation is useful computers, not supercomputers. And what do I mean by useful computers? These computers are much more personalized. They live with you, they are around you, they understand your context, and that's why you can interact with them much better. Now, this does not mean that we do not need supercomputers and we did not benefit from them. Today, a lot of scientific analysis, like climate modeling, for example, runs on supercomputers. However, a lot more impact has been achieved by these small, tiny devices that fit in your pocket. And when the same question comes today about superintelligence, one way to think about it is that what we actually need much more is this notion of useful intelligence. And similarly, again, we do not need to eliminate superintelligence completely, but we need to reframe it in a different perspective that is much more grounded in human values and also the individual and personal experiences. So to understand what it would take to build such useful and super intelligence, let's take a step back. So what I want you to do is think about this question for 5 or 10 seconds. Why humans run the world? This was the question that Yuval Noah Harari, who is a popular historian and philosopher, made the point on the stage of TED in 2014. So before I proceed, just give like this question 5 seconds. Like, why are we special in the way that we run the world and not any other species? Think about it, and now let's see perspective that Yuval Noah Harari gives. So Harari gives this argument that there are two kinds of powerful intelligences or organisms. One rely on scalability. So as we can see here, the flock of birds, they operate in very large numbers, or think of a school of fish, again, moving in very large numbers. And that allows them to coordinate and also solve problems that they could not solve individually. So think about it, how a flock of birds can scare away a predator. Any individual bird cannot, but together they can. So it's a very powerful idea. But there's a disadvantage here, which is all these organisms individually are not very different and diverse and not taking unique responsibilities. All of them follow similar rules and operate under similar same principle. And that allows them to coordinate at a large scale because they are following the same rules and people don't have to worry about heterogeneity. We have another class of organisms that utilizes heterogeneity. And a perfect example would be pack of wolves. So each member in the pack takes a different responsibility, and that allows it to hunt their prey effectively, where different members of the pack will attack from different directions. Some will chase, some will ambush, and that enables this really dynamic, some kind of a dynamic ecosystem of these wolves. And the benefit is coming from each member taking on a different role and being very diverse in its capabilities. However, the problem is that this system does not scale really well because this requires coordination, and scaling coordination is not trivial. So typically, we see pack of wolves around 12 to 15 members, and we know the maximum this pack can grow to is just 30 members. So we can see there are two desiderata. One is scalability, the other is heterogeneity. And we want coordination to happen between the two. So this is what we call as trilemma of intelligence. We want coordination, we want heterogeneity, and we want scalability. And the answer that Yuval Noah Harari gave in his TED Talk was precisely this, that the reason humans run the world is because they can operate at a large scale and be heterogeneous at the same time, where each individual has diverse capabilities, take on different roles in the society, and we can still coordinate while operating in that way. So the question is, how does this translate to the modern discussion around intelligence? Right now, the narrative is that we will have a one single large brain super intelligence that will be able to solve all different tasks. However, there is another paradigm that is emerging, and the one that EON is also pioneering. This notion of lots of small brains operating in a large scale manner, still being heterogeneous. So this one big brain approach also is going for scalability, and that's why we have things like scaling laws in AI. But the idea is to still constrain the system into a single unit. And on the right, what we have is, oh, it's not just about a single unit. The narrative here is we can bring different small brains, each with individual capabilities, and also the tasks they perform, and let them operate in this very chaotic manner. And that's where the word chaos also comes from, because there's almost this feeling of that the system is self-organized. There is no single entity defining how these different parts operate and interact. And it's not just about the brain. Actually, when it comes to making health span extension and health accessible to all, it's also about accounting for different resources that individuals have. So imagine Sarah, who has her chest x-ray available and let's say Alice, who has her blood tests available, they can collaborate and exchange information in various ways that could empower both of them with knowledge they did not have them if they only operated on their own data. So personalization, at the same time, also this notion of collective learning is what enables this idea of multiple brains being able to collaborate with each other. And again, going beyond data, it's also about expertise. It's also about different kinds of institutions. You can imagine government institution that is enabling things like reimbursements and so on. At the same time, you have researchers and clinics that are more interested in this idea of how can they understand holistically people across different demographics, get their data, and still be able to perform all kinds of interesting, this multimodal AI. So instead of building one large big brain that can understand everything, here the EON approach is looking at much more holistically and saying, okay, let's bring different individuals, different organizations under this unified platform that could bring their multimodal data and analyze them in a way that actually improves AI and leverages the best of it. So another question then is, how do we actually improve the AI so that this this dream of ecosystem of different data, different resources becomes feasible? So there was this really popular post by Jason Wei, who was working at OpenAI when he wrote the blog post. And the news right after that blog is that Mark Zuckerberg poached him. So now he's at Meta. And he wrote this fabulous post on the great divide in AI. So he introduces this idea called verifier's law. What verifier's law says that anything that can be easily verified will get solved by AI. And we have seen lots of examples actually following this law. So let me give you some concrete examples where AI has been able to really breach the barrier of human intelligence and gone much, much better because the tasks were easy to verify. So think of something like Olympiads, coding, and so on, where the task is difficult to solve, but at the same time, if you have solved the task, it's very easy to verify that yes, it has been solved. And a perfect example is asking AI to build Twitter. It's very difficult to come up with a program or a machine that can build Twitter, but once it has built the Twitter, humans can easily verify indeed it has done that task. Similarly, a lot of programming tasks, playing games like chess, Sudoku, so on. These things are really easy to verify. At the same time, it's difficult to solve them. And that's why the whole AI community has been obsessed with solving these kind of tasks. Then we have another territory which is less conquered and more difficult. This category is about tasks that are not easy to verify. And before I jump on why they are difficult to verify, important factor to consider here is whenever you can verify a task, you create this feedback loop where the learning algorithm gets better because of the feedback, and then it generates better candidates, and those better candidates can then again be verified. So there's a notion of feedback loop in all things that can be easily verified. So, and this is the image from him, and I really like this positioning because the example of best diet actually corroborates with how we think about at EON. It's a task that is really difficult to verify. If you recommend a best diet, which is very easy to generate, today also you can just type ChatGPT, what is the best diet, and it can come up with like 50 different diets, keto, carnivore, vegan, and so on. And if we know something about nutritional epidemiology from the last 20 years, one thing is definitely true that no diet is the best because there's no such thing as universal best diet. And the problem is not that it's hard to verify. The problem is there is no universal verification rule. It's much more personal. The diet that might work for you actually might not work for me. And this is where EON brings this notion of health intelligence. What we are essentially enabling through this feedback loop is this ease of verification. So imagine you have this AI that can actually learn and see the context about an individual, what's working, what's not working, and use that signal to actually then improve the algorithm itself. This allows you to really improve AI and bring the same capabilities that we have been able to bring in coding, in writing long essays, and so on. Same capabilities, but now also for the task that was considered really hard to verify before. And one thing you might be wondering at this point is, okay, how do we actually bring this from hard to verify to easy to verify? And this is where the EON platform really shines. And that's why we call this whole approach as an operating system approach. Because to bring this feedback loop and signal easy to understand and for AI to be really personalized and verify its own predictions and generations, you need three problems to be addressed. So we call this three-step formula at EON. So first is understanding what works and what moves the needle. And to really understand this well, you have to identify the temporal or longitudinal evolution of health biomarkers at an individual level. So a very concrete and simple example is if your sleep metrics are improving that we can collect on the EN platform and see the time evolution of those patterns to understand what is working and what's not, then we have solved verification to a certain degree because we can see what moves the needle when it comes to improving your sleep. And the problem is really challenging, but that's why we have been working very hard on building this platform to how can we really understand temporal dimension of your health. The second important part of this formula is multimodal learning. So even if we have this temporal understanding, what you also need to understand is how different parts of your health interact with each other. And in the last 10 years, we have made amazing progress in capturing different kinds of information. And we are very excited about where this future is heading because we are getting much more precise and high frequency biomarkers. So think of all the multi-omics capabilities that are emerging, all the new ways in which AI can help you track your own information. Variables are, of course, finally getting mature. And then people are becoming more familiar with the idea of tracking their health, quantifying themselves, and so on. However, today, all this information is scattered and siloed. Your blood test result might sit in your MyChart application. Your variable might be sitting in your Apple Health. Your X-ray might be sitting with another clinic, and so on. And one really important thing that the EON platform is providing is how can we bring all this information, not just at a single place, which is bringing the dots together, but also connecting them, how your blood biomarkers are getting influenced by your sleep data, how your nutrition is impacting your metabolomics, and so on. So creating these different and connecting these dots is an important problem, not just bringing them together, but also connecting them. And then finally, it's not just about individual, right? We also need to learn patterns in a collective manner. And there are two ways people think about this problem. So one is, okay, we are only going to do n equals to 1, which is just looking at individual data, but then it's losing all the context and rich information that is present among other individuals that can improve health for others. On the other side, we have something like completely aggregate homogeneous population models, which is what randomized clinical trials are mostly doing. In that situation, we are really averaging out everyone's data into a single number. So both extremes have their own benefits and have their disadvantage. And one unique approach which we bring through EON is this capability of collective learning that respects individual heterogeneity and diversity, at the same time leverages and utilizes the collective knowledge that is embedded in this relationship between people and creates this really dynamic network of individuals. So you and I might share some genotype, and that might influence things that you consume in your nutrition and how it impacts your sleep could be also similar for me. But that really requires understanding context and creating this network. So three-step formula. First, understanding the time evolution. Second is connecting different aspects of health at an individual level. And the third aspect is then bringing all that information across individuals in a holistic sense, which respects diversity, allows individual heterogeneity at the same time, learns collective knowledge. And to give you a sense of how this notion of universal verifier that does not exist in health, and hence that's why we are not seeing amazing advances in AI for health, to a personal verifier, which does exist and is enabled by EON's platform, can enable this rich understanding. So for example, right now we have this new interface which exposes the EON platform through this app. And you can connect your data and you can see how your own activities impact your, in this case, heart rate variability, which is a big stress marker. And with EON, you don't just get that connection, like how your workout or any other aspect is connected to your stress marker, but also you get a overall this orchestration of different agents that are bringing and working together to bring all this context in a manner that is digestible for you. So for example, here we have this almost like an AI statistician that is telling, okay, is this relationship actually significant? How much to trust that result? Then you also have this almost like some kind of a personal assistant, which is giving you a sense of what are the actions that you can do, what are experiments that you can try, so that the feedback loop gets faster and more rich of information. And if you think about it, it's going beyond this notion of creating an AI doctor, which is what many companies today are trying to create the illusion of. Here we have lots of different agents. They are orchestrating together behind the scenes, bringing all the data together, and really uh, optimizing for health as the ultimate goal, rather than creating yet another doctor-like experience. Because we can do much more if we have all these thousands or even millions of agents that can collaborate and fuse all your information together, connect it with all the scientific research, see what exists and how it translates to your own body. And if you want to go to some kind of a health intelligence, that is what we need. We just don't need yet another chatbot, because you could use ChatGPT for that. What you need is this orchestration engine really aligned around your health, your biology, and looking at millions of data points, leveraging millions of agents to create this understanding. So with that, I will invite Kyun, our CEO, and Shala again to have more discussion and really bring all of these points home for all people.
Hello. Nice to see you, all of you. My name is Kian, co-founder and CEO of EON.HEALTH.
Okay, let me see if I can put people on panel. And meanwhile, we can also start discussing the questions. So one question we have is around privacy, because if we are doing all this analysis and bringing different kinds of information across people, then how do we take care of privacy? So I think definitely a very important question. And this is why we take this very distributed learning based approach. So the idea here is that traditionally we have this trade-off between privacy and utility. So on one end, you have things like medical data sitting in hospital silos that cannot be exchanged. On the other hand, you have like really almost public like information like Google Maps, where anybody can see what is the average speed of the cars on the road and so on. And what we want is actually mix of both. So at EON, we leverage some of these algorithms that enable sharing of insights, not data, in such a way that you achieve both privacy and both utility. So even today, if you try out the EON.HEALTH app, what happens is your data never leaves your device. And this allows you to store everything on device, use it locally, learn from it. At the same time, we can gather information in a way that does not expose your individual data. And to be more clear, this is not just saying, oh, we are not using data. Actually, we are using clever computational techniques that actually achieve both. Let me see if you guys are pinned or not. Shala?
Yeah, maybe it will be great to answer one another question I'm strongly getting when I'm talking about EON.HEALTH, which is connection with other apps. So basically, what type of apps that we're connected to, what type of data that we're getting, and like, is it only the, like, let's say, specific platforms that we're connected to, or is it easy to connect the other platforms people are using so they can connect their app to EON, like manually, like how this process work? This is the major question that I get.
Yeah. So one important aspect here is that because the EON platform is designed to be much more flexible and adaptive, almost think of it as like an operating system which can support multiple apps where different information can be put together and it can be used by the user. So that's a very user-centric view, which is as a user, you can see your nutrition data, you can see your workout information, and all these different aspects, even like wearable, your blood biomarkers, all these can be brought together. And when it comes to connecting, we connect with lots of different sources. So you can connect your blood test results, you can connect your wearables. And behind the scenes, of course, it's using all these APIs that other companies provide, or if they allow you to export your data, you can also import it. So yeah, when it comes to connection, that's really one important thing where the platform allows you to bring together all these different sources of information.
Can we say that this is one of the biggest pros that we have, because we're not sticking to our limited data, but we're open to broader data of those wearables or apps that being used, so we can make more sense using AI?
Yeah, that's an important point, right? Which is, it's not just bringing all that information into a single place, but also actually connecting them in interesting ways. So before they are living at separate places, and then once they are brought in together at EON, the ML models actually start digging deep into them and seeing, okay, what things are related to each other and how we can actually combine them to produce insights that are much more holistic.
We have one additional data question in the chat.
How are you guys addressing user adherence? How are you measuring and addressing the psychological barriers that cause users stop engaging with your precision health protocols? Kyun, do you have any thoughts?
Yes, that's a great question, because the health progress is a longer project. It's not happen one day. So in order to improve overall health functionality, the longer engagement is really key. So the thing we are doing in terms of technologically, we are also analyze the users' engagement and what their goals and what they are interested in. So we are developing the tools and logics to provide a personalized message. For example, even with the same data, the context could be different, which would be more compelling for each individuals. Let's say if I have a goal for brain fog, if so, my REM sleep or my movement, all things can be analyzed or explained with tailored with my goal. So we are developing that one as well. And also we see that in terms of educational content, because every time we have to learn about ourselves, and also we need to learn about what is cutting edge discoveries from scientific community and scientific discoveries. So we wanted to bring that perspective as well, not just providing their analytic data and also providing the cutting edge research, which is related to their demographic and their cohorts. For example, I recently read research about the mid-age women's weight loss research. So if we can connect it more close scientific discovery in terms of cohorts, it will be more compelling or more helpful to understand themselves and to try as a personal experiment. So in conclusion, we are doing some analytics to understand better about their goals and what are their current states, and also based on the analysis, we're providing the personalized content to make them change their behavioral long-termly and also keep updating new scientific discoveries.
And also maybe we can add that in terms of user journey, we're also adding new features day by day. So gamification and these type of features will be uploaded in the app. So it will be easier and more fun to use and discover your suggestions and your evaluation. And it's not just one part or one pillar. We're creating those across pillars. So, I mean, hopefully people won't have time to get bored because there will be more and more things to discover and play with.
Yeah, actually building on Charles' argument. So if we think about it, like why do people actually stop using these things, right, in the past? And one reason you could argue is more about that they're not just learning anything new information. So if I'm wearing a smartwatch, using that smartwatch app every day, yes, it will tell me, hey, sleep at 10 p.m. That's good for your sleep, and sleep for 8 hours or 9 hours every day. And at some point you zone out because that information is not adding any extra dimension in your life. But because our platform is bringing so on different diverse data points, the kind of insights that we can produce is never running out. Because if you have, let's say, 5 different dimensions, then you can produce in principle 32 different insights. And similarly, if you have 100, then you can produce millions of insights. So people generally learn new kinds of information if they have brought in more data, which will motivate them to add more data on that stack.
And also, I wanted to add my personal experiences because during our MVP product, we wanted to prove the concept in terms of the behavioral change, how the analytics can really value our perception change and behavioral change. Following the Abby's comments, I've experienced that so let's say if I see my real data pattern, and also if I see the progress based on my data patterns, it really works well than other average basic sleep 8 hours and go to bed early. Instead of that, in order to improve your deep sleep, actually your last meal time really matters for you. So it really changed my behavioral, and I changed my priority in terms of my daily schedules. So we believe and we hope the precise real data can change, and play with EON will help to understand themselves better and ultimately change the behavioral as well in long term.
What else? Maybe question to Shala. So because I mentioned so much about I want to make sure it's actually getting communicated in the way we want people to understand. So anything you want to ask me about that? Like, is there anything was not clear, or how that impacts people and so on?
AI is always complicated, but I think we're in a phase like we think we get it clearly. But I think your explanation was clear, at least to me, so I don't have any hesitation, like if I didn't get some part. Hopefully it was like that with our audience as well.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think that's another important point, right? Which is you said, and this is a general perception also, that hey, AI is complicated and all these things. And one benefit of AI is that we can ask it to actually be less complicated and design it in a way that it's actually people get it easily. It goes in both ways. Basically, I'm trying to say that we can use the complicated system to reduce the complication.
And also, I mean, as a general user, for me, without a technical background, understanding the capabilities of AI and understanding it's like beyond being a simple chatbot, it actually do the other things. Yeah, we know that it can create an app, it can create an like code, this and that, but actually what we don't maybe really understand that it can combine different points and create one sensible outcome at the end, just instead of generating and picking the important points from around the web or from articles, this and that. It's more than that within the structure that we create. So it is very, I think, useful and interesting to understand in this session.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, that's the vision, right? Like we want to bring AI to that place so that it not just is a chatbot, but actually has much more this multimodal capabilities, takes different aspects of your health and so on.
Yeah, and also I wanted to bring the perspective of optimization, because the ultimate personalized is the optimization instead of pursuing the maximal or minimum. So usually the health industry industrialized with consuming more product, when pushing yourself harder, kinds of pushing every aspect to do more would be better. But in reality, everyone has their unique optimal. So hopefully EON help to find that journey, the journey to find their unique optimal instead of pursuing others' way to just maximize something or minimize something.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, because now as a consumer, we're struggling around with a lot of like supplements, suggestions. Take the supplement, but the supplement is wrong if you take with that supplement. It's not very beneficial if you take it in the morning. But to understand all of those like warnings or suggestions is really hard for the end consumer, because sometimes we don't know what to ask. Even if you're using the AI, we don't know what to ask to get the right outcome. But if you generate your routine in a platform like that, all the vitamins that you have, all the biomarkers that you have, your sleep journey, your eating habits, in your cognition performance, everything, then what are you lacking? Which vitamins you need to take, or which vitamins is actually excess for your health and you don't need to take anymore. Those type of things, individually, you don't really configure it. But now with EON, it's actually easier to juggle and create a network in between and understand your optimum level. I think that's a great point to understand what we're providing here.
That's a great framing. I would add one thing, which is, and this goes back to the super intelligence thing we were talking about initially, right? Which is, if you're trying to create an experience of AI doctor, you're still not going to be able to do this. Like your doctor does not do this. It does not know all this information.
Yeah.
So what we need is much more like data driven and all this gathering different contexts, something that would not be possible with a doctor.
Yeah, we have one additional question actually around that. How these micro agents work together to give personalized health insights, especially when different users have very different kind of data, like just sleep versus blood work or wearables.
Yeah, that's the orchestration angle here. So what this requires you to do behind the scenes is, okay, we have different kinds of data, different kinds of capabilities. So for example, as I was showing during the slides, sometimes you want to understand the time evolution, right? Temporal longitudinal understanding. So that's like one kind of agent. And then you have another, which is trying to interpret how things are connected, not just in time, but also in space. And really orchestrating them in a way that they can interact with each other, but also they can do their own job effectively is something we are solving. So high level answer is orchestration. You enable, and I think this term is now getting popular lately in the AI discourse. It's called sub agents, but the idea is, okay, it's not just one agent. There are some different parts of it. So yeah, divide and conquer, give different tasks to different, and then bring them together. And then finally, of course, leverage existing AI also to make it easy for the user to understand. So all things happening behind the scenes in a way that for you, it's still very simple. Like if you think about it, when you type a query on Google, it is doing billions of searches actually behind the scenes, scraping so many websites that exist all over the internet, and then bringing you a very simple 10-page list. So all the sophisticated processing is happening behind the scenes, which is really this orchestration and data management and so on.
Yeah. I don't know if we also touch base, maybe I missed, but so since you said that like Google is making a query like in between billions of pages, I think it's really important to emphasize that like we're also not providing, but we're also having our own database with all reliable sources. It's not just a random website, and it's maybe 100, like 50% right suggestions, but these are actually science-backed articles and all the information pool providing all the suggestions, not just an usual pool of knowledge or data, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. That's a great point as well. So, and yeah, all people who have joined, if you guys try, and we have seen already this before, like if you open EON.HEALTH and you see some suggestions, and when you start the app, you can actually click on the suggestions and it will actually show you the scientific papers which are being cited to derive those insights. So not just getting the information, but also giving people some kind of like trust. Okay, it's not just made totally out of like it's not hallucinating like a typical AI model. It's actually gathering some citations, like how I would do my work when I was doing PhD. Uh, Whenever we have to write even a single paragraph, we have to first cite it. So uh, that practice allows you to stay safe from all the hallucinated things.
Yeah. We have 5 more minutes. If you have more questions, we're happy to answer.
Let's see. One thing we haven't talked much about, and I think this probably goes to user adherence, that actually, because EON is a platform, right? But at the same time, there's a consumer app that people can use. And one big reason for that is we wanna meet people where they are. rather than having a totally new kind of experience where they have to provide all this information. So for instance, people carry smartphones, they have wearables. So by bringing all this solution from the platform to directly to those places allows people to capture their information more effectively. And lately, what we have been releasing, people can try out already, is that with the help of AI, they can track all this information much more easily about themselves. So AI is not just improving their experience and giving them new insights, but also actually helping them capture information about their health and their lifestyle much more easily. So that creates a nice feedback loop where now you can capture more information, which generates better insights. And because insights are better, people are more incentivized to create more information about themselves.
Yeah, is there anything that you would like to answer? Some questions that you highly receive through social media? Because I know that once we create those videos, we get more questions. Is there anything that you would like to touch base, maybe highlight here?
Not question, but the interesting thing is actually the MDs and physicians also interested in EON platform. So if there is anyone who is doing some longevity clinics and also wanted to work with us, we are really open to collaborate with you guys. So yeah, it was interesting because we usually thought the healthcare professionals are a bit conservative to longevity science or the AI-based this kind of personalized solution. But in reality, when we introduce our product, many healthcare professionals are also interested in. So it was really insightful. So if there is anyone who works with us in terms of real clinical practical matters, we are open to collaborate.
All right, time to wrap up.
Sure.
Awesome. So thanks everyone who joined. And yeah, I believe the session has been recorded, so we'll put the videos out.
Yeah. If you have more questions or if you want to ask questions personally to either Abby or Keon, you can either reach them on LinkedIn or their socials, or you can write wherever you want. We're always open to answer any questions and get your feedbacks, which is really important for us to grow and provide better features. So thank you for joining, and I hope we can create more sessions like that and have more touch points with you. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.